All right, guys, welcome back to another Victoria Events with Caleb Shaw. It is Monday, August 30th. Let's get right to it. It's another busy week, so let's just get after it here. If you don't know him already, I bet you do, but just in case you don't, my buddy Joseph is here with the Young Republicans. My friend, welcome back. Good to have you.
Nice being here.
Talk to me, man. There's been a lot. Let's see, last time we saw you, you had a city council race going on, all sorts of, why don't you just bring us up to date on where you're at?
Yeah, just been kind of took a little bit of a break, relaxed for just a little bit after that city council race, and now just trying to get the, kind of dealing with some of the school board issues going on right now and the bond and all that great stuff, and just trying to get reorganized and refocused back to trying to get some people together to fight for this city and do some good things.
You do. Well, let's rewind it back a little bit. Let's talk about, who are the Young Republicans and, what is your role within them and what do you guys hope to accomplish in Victoria?
Okay. The Young Republicans is a state federated group, the Texas Young Republicans, and we're over Victoria County. I'm the president of them. And our main focus is not really so much getting together and complaining about federal problems and national problems. It's about focusing on Victoria County and what can we do in this city and how can we fight in this city to get things better. Because I truly, truly believe that if we can all band together, we can change Victoria for the better, and I do believe that. So that's what we're focused on.
No, and I think you make a strong point because so many people get hung up on federal politics and at the national level, the president's doing this or, Trump this or Biden that, blah, 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 blah. But I would argue that it's the policies at the local level that affect you the most in your daily life, every day, affect your kids at the schools, all these type of things. And Victoria, from my understanding, we don't set the record when it comes to elections as far as our voter turnout and things like that, where we could make a difference.
Oh, not at all. And I think if we look at everything that has transpired over this past year and a half or so, how important who we have running our cities and who we have running our state is just, it's so important. And I believe the most important elected official is our school boards. The city council runoff, both great candidates in the runoff, both great guys, but we had 12,000 registered voters in District 3, and I think around 1,800 showed up to vote. I mean, that's just every single problem we have or anything people complain about in Victoria is all the fault of the voters because we don't vote.
Yeah, no, and it's hard to argue that because these local elections, sometimes they're not very reflective of our community because of the low voter turnout. Statistically, it seems to be that Victoria hits around about a 65-ish, conservative, right-leaning community, yet our school board, and I would argue city council and other different boards in town, chamber, EDC, things like that, are stacked heavy with left-leaning people in a right-leaning community, and I don't think anything other than low voter numbers contribute to that. Or, at least it's a big contributing factor to me is they show up and they go for those seats, and in a town where we're 60% right-leaning, why isn't that representation on any of our boards,
Man, I don't know. That's a good, that's a good question to answer. If we knew the problem for that, maybe we wouldn't have the issues we have. And I know the recent runoff, I know both of our guys were conservative in it, so I don't think we hit too wrong with that. But we do have, and one of the main reasons I'm here is for our meeting on the 7th. We do have 3 school board spots coming up, I believe, next year. And we're trying to recruit and find people who want to run for school board. I'm looking for some people with some skin in the game. I'm looking for an angry mom with children who's just fed up with VISD. I'm looking for even fathers, with kids in VISD that are tired of seeing the way that our school district has just steadily declined and how they do not listen to citizens here. That's what I'm trying to focus on with the Young Republicans right now, and that's going to be our biggest push is our school board, because regardless of what people think, that is probably the single most important person you can vote for. Hands down.
Well, they are the biggest taxing entity in our community. They tax it double what the city does, and what would you say to somebody that's, when I was in my young 20s and getting into my late 20s and then 30s and all of that, politics weren't super high up on my radar. I just wanted to kind of fly and live and do things. Why should a young Republican / just a young individual in general consider wanting to join the Young Republicans, or why should they want to get involved in things like the school board? I don't have any kids in the school. Why should I care?
Well, it affects a lot of things. So this age demographic for the Young Republicans is 18 to 40. we're going to be the ones that are going to be most affected and lasting.
Did you mean 18 to 43? Is that what you meant? Because I'm about to turn 43.
We take associate members as well. You just don't get
everybody.
Yeah, you just don't get the voting any power. But our age group, we're going to be here for the long haul. We got a lot left, and if you don't have kids now, you might in the future. And it's very, very important to focus on that. And if we just banded together and we made a change for our cities, no more will it just be whoever Victoria very much so is a good old boys club, and I'm not knocking anybody who's our elected official. I'm not saying anything personally bad about anybody, but Victoria is very much so a good old boys club. And the only way to get out of that is to show up and vote. And that's what this organization is going to be about, is banding together, getting this 18 to 40 demographic just really, really just fired up to go out there. And people, it takes 30 minutes. 30 minutes to go drive to a voting poll and vote. And you telling me you can't take that out of your life in something that's going to affect your child's life so much? Just look into it and just see how our school district is going right now. And it's not going great.
Because it's a lot deeper than vote for a bond, don't vote for a bond.
Yeah, and that seems to be all they care about is money. We want more money. We want more money. And I understand that the taxes aren't going to, go up just grossly insane, but there are people living paycheck to paycheck. We did just go through a pandemic that just completely decimated a lot of people financially, and they want to add more onto that and call you stupid for not wanting to pay it. So yeah, we could sit and talk about this forever. So, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but that's what this is about, is getting people together to go vote and actually change and put some fresh perspective in there. Like I said, I'm not saying anything personally about the people on school board, but it's time to change. If your business was running as poorly as our school board does, would you be making some changes at the top level? I
think my agents would fire me as the broker in the
exactly.
office.
So why are we allowing it to happen to our city with our tax dollars?
Yep, I could not agree more. And it goes a lot more, even fiscal responsibility being huge. There's all these different curriculums coming down the pipe, all these different things where your voice in those schools is important. And whether you whether you care about politics or not, politics care about you. And eventually they're going to intrude into your life if they haven't already. And you nailed a point. We have the power, and we just have to realize that we have the power. And I would argue that the people in control now are people that answered this call 20 years ago, 30 years. They built those good old boy networks. Well, now it's time for new good old boy networks, and not necessarily the good old, but we need fresh blood. We need people with skin in the game, as you said, and all of that, and to bring back a feeling of using the school board is it's not us versus them. No. And that's what it's kind of turned into.
Yeah, and that's horrible. And I've even told someone, I will help you if you want, but there's no effort to go out there and really
give us the money first,
basically kind of campaign with the people and earn trust and tell them you're trying and listen to what they're saying and doing that, And I'll kind of lead off with the quote, because we were talking about quotes a little bit earlier. Dan Bongino says regularly, we're the heroes we've been waiting for. So you don't have to go to all these school board task force meetings, and you don't have to go to all, you just got to show up and vote and just take a little bit of time to educate yourself on what's going on. Because if we do that, we can start getting this to go in the right direction, and we can start getting the school board to want to work with the community and want to figure out solutions. Because we're all in this together, like you said. This is our community, and it affects everything. Businesses don't want to come here because our school district performs horribly. It hinders economic growth in your town. It hinders a lot of things in your town that people don't realize. That's why I said school board is the most important elected official we have in the city. And if you're interested in running for school board and you think you're ready to take a strong stand, and it's a big commitment, it's not a light commitment. You have to really commit, and there's a lot of time a school board member has to put into this. And if you are interested, come and talk to us, and we'll see if you're in the right district and if you're really ready to go.
I think you buttoned it up perfectly. Their meeting with the Young Republicans is Tuesday, September 7th. What's the location?
6 o'clock, right across at the GOP Center, the 115 South Main.
There you go. We will take a quick break real fast. Word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Since 1932, Wallach & Volk has been closing mortgages and doing it the right way. The reason why the Volks opened up a bank at the height of the Great Depression was because the bank needed to be opened at the height of the Great Depression. And it was good for the community at that time. A lot of the banks were going under. In order to keep that community sound and stable, it was something that they did. I think that says something about who Wallach and Volk was 85 years ago. And the only way you get to continue to do it is if you consistently do it great. And we plan on doing this for another 85 years.
All right, gang, we are back. We've got a new guest who's never been on the show before, so we're going to let her introduce herself, but we're super happy she's here. So without further ado, young lady.
Thank you. I'm Nicole Beamer. I am with the Gulf Bend Center. I am their mental health first aid outreach coordinator and educator. So this is a newer program to the community. It's been around for past couple years here. It started in 2001 in Australia as a response to the suicides that some of the mental health professionals in the area were seeing.
So for those that don't, they just moved here today. They have no idea what the Gulf Bend is. Before we get into some of the programs, tell me what the Gulf Bend Center is.
Yeah, the Gulf Bend Center is a local mental health authority. Its population serves the 7 counties surrounding Victoria County, including Victoria. And we aim to serve people who are experiencing mental health crises or a mental health diagnosis and working towards recovery and changing the stigma surrounding mental health. So it's a wonderful organization. I love working for it. I think we need to have more discussions about mental health, and Gulf Bend Center is one of the only ones in the area that is geared towards the community itself.
Well, and one of the things I've noticed in kind of society, and I think the Olympics with, I forgot her name already.
Biles.
There you go.
Yes.
For good or for bad, it put a light on things, you know, and immediately I heard people kicking things around of, is she mentally weak, or is she a hero, or is she all these things?
Right.
I would argue that she's probably the only one that knows that, but I'm not opposed. I noticed as I've gotten older in life and more stress seems to be on my shoulders, that every now and then I just need a break, and I need just time to breathe and catch my breath, and luckily I have a wife that's very understanding of that I had to call her just earlier in the week and said my dog was hurt and all this stuff, and I was just mentally exhausted.
Right.
And I called her and I said, babe, I need help finishing this paragraph that I had to write because I just couldn't get my mind where it needed to be. And then it was just something, my dog was hurt and I was just having a bad day, but it took such a toll on me, and I can see sometimes how you can just go down this rabbit hole, and all of a sudden before you know, you're deep down in there and need help.
Right. And one thing we discuss is that trauma it affects everyone differently. So something that may be traumatic to you may not be traumatic to me, and vice versa. And understanding what is a traumatic event in our lives and how are we responding to that is important. And so we see Simone Biles, for example, who said, I need to take care of myself. To be the best that I can be, I need to make sure that mentally I am in a good place. And the Olympics it's a high stress event. There are a lot at stake. You have the entire nation watching you. But even on a local level in our own lives, we have a lot of stressors. Maybe it's our dog is ill, our children are sick, our work is stressful. We go through a pandemic, the presidential election, a freeze, Hurricane Harvey. All of these things impact us differently. And when we don't take care of ourselves, it ends up impacting other areas of our life, including our own physical health. So the brain, when it goes through a traumatic event and is not getting cared for appropriately, whether it's through coping mechanisms or through counseling or therapy, sometimes ends up creating a physical illness and impacting us physically so that we do seek that care and that attention that we need. So it's good that we're having these conversations and it's being put on the national level because we need to talk about it.
Yes, ma'am. No, I agree. So now let's get into this program, because you do have a program coming, or an event coming up, and let's walk through the program and then your event, and tell me what you got going.
Yes, so we offer mental health first aid classes. They are geared towards teaching the signs and symptoms of someone experiencing a mental health crisis and then how to respond. So it is the CPR of the mental health world. We're not teaching you how to be a diagnostician, we're not teaching you how to be a licensed therapist, but to be someone who is there for someone experiencing a mental health crisis. And it all surrounds this wonderful action plan named Algae. This is our mascot. Yes, Algae,
okay.
ALGEE. And it is our safety plan that teaches someone to assess the situation. Is the individual in a crisis or non-crisis? And then what to do from there. So do I call 911 or the Gulf Bend's Crisis Center? Do I just provide a listening ear to them? Do I provide reassurance and information or encourage appropriate self-coping mechanisms, self-help? It's all about how do I help this person in a way that's good for them and does not do further harm.
So is this geared towards somebody maybe in a role, where they need to be aware of this, or is this good to also towards somebody that may need that help, or both?
Both.
Is it okay?
It's for everyone. We teach both tips and tricks for the individual providing the care, but also for yourself. So if this works for someone else, it's going to work for me as well. And I know all of our instructors, I personally have benefited from the program, recognizing when I become stressed and what do I need to do, how do I communicate this with someone else, my needs. Because in the moment, and I call it like a fog, in the moment, like in a depressive state, you can't see 2 steps in front of you. You only know what's 1 step in front of you. How do I get through today? How do I get through this moment? But when you have these tips and tricks, you can recognize beforehand and say, hey, I need help with this. When you see me do this, please help me in this way. Mm-hmm. Or if you see someone in that moment, you can say, hey, what's going on? How can I help you? What do you need from me? Instead of the what's wrong with you, why are you acting this way? It's what happened? How can I help? Mm-hmm. So changing that mentality and changing that conversation.
No, and I think it's good, and I think a lot of the times, and by all means, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of times the first step is the most important one, whether that be for people that are worried about others or that individual that's struggling. A lot of times that first step is the most important one and the hardest to take.
Yes.
And where a program like this or an event like this might actually help, because it helps you, gives you the tools to address those situations and hopefully know how to respond when you're there.
Right, and be aware that something else may be going on, right? How many times do we interact with someone and we're like, man, that response was not right. They are acting in this way when I think they should have responded in this way. And we know now, well, maybe something else is going on. And having that at the forefront.
And does this come from a place of empowerment to where we're also, while informing them with knowledge, we're lifting them up. We're letting them know, hey, you can do this. You're
absolutely.
While you may be struggling, you're not a victim. You can come and you can push through this. You can learn. You can educate and hopefully overcome.
Right. Yes. One of our favorite things to say is we provide hope with facts. Recovery is possible, and that is what mental health first aid is about. Someone who is experiencing a mental health crisis will not always experience a mental health crisis. Someone who is having suicidal ideations will not always have suicidal thoughts. They can recover, and they will recover with the appropriate support and the appropriate help. So we want to encourage people and let them know it is okay to talk about this. We need to talk about this. Unfortunately, suicide runs rampant. I think the latest statistics were about 130 people die by suicide daily. Yeah. And for each of those, you have 25 individuals who attempt suicide. So we need to change the conversation around that. September is Suicide Awareness Month, so we invite the community to join us. We're hosting 4 classes. We have mental health first aid on the 2nd and the 30th, which is geared towards helping adults cope with mental health crises. We have one on the 10th and the 17th for youth. I lied, it's 5 classes, not 4.
That's all right, more the merrier.
Yes,
that's
more the merrier.
Right.
So helping with youth, so ages about 12 to 18 is the population that we're looking at, but these classes are specifically for adults. And then we have a class on the 16th, which is geared towards veterans. So this is talking about the lived experience of veterans and military and their families. And I love this class because it does discuss things that we don't talk about in the adult class, like deployment cycles and PTSD, things that are specific to the lived experiences of veterans.
Yes, ma'am. No, that's outstanding. And where can they find all this information?
They can either go to gulfbend.org, which is our website, or Eventbrite. So on Eventbrite, we have all the classes listed. They are free, but we are encouraging donations, of course, because this is, we are a nonprofit. We are funded through grants and government funding, which it makes it difficult sometimes to put on these classes for free, but we want to make sure that they are always free for the community.
Good deal. And do you all have a Facebook page?
We do. It's Gulf Bend.
Okay.
We are working on getting more information out there. Hopefully soon we'll have
the classes and stuff on there as well?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. Well, thank you so much for coming in. You did a spectacular job. I had a ton of fun. And Algie, I'm glad you brought in Algie.
This is for you.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I could always use a little Algie in my life. So thank you so much. Guys, we will take one more break and we'll be back with our final guest. All right, guys, we are back with our final guest. She's no stranger to the show. She's been on here before, and I hope her location is no stranger to you either, because they've had a lot of great stuff going on out there, and they have a lot more great stuff coming. So let's just jump right into it. Boss Lady, if you would not mind, for those that don't know who you are, if you would please introduce yourself and who you're here with.
Hi, I'm Christine Krause. I'm one of the co-owners of Schroeder Hall, the second oldest dance hall in Texas. It's out on a farm road in between Victoria and Goliad, and so my husband and I own it.
Yes, ma'am. And for those that haven't seen it, we did do a spectacular episode of Meet Victoria on Schroeder Hall. Had a ton of fun out there. The Stout Brothers were performing that night. It was a really good episode. So make sure you go back through, find that one, and check it out. It was a great episode. But sorry, I had to get that plug in there. We had a lot of fun filming that one. So second oldest dance hall in Texas, and for the ones that haven't been out there recently, you know, this isn't the same Schroeder Hall from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You still bring in the great acts, still bring in the great music, but you guys have come in there and put a spit shine on things and remodeled it and made that place look pretty spectacular.
We have done quite a bit, and we still do. Like, Eric is my husband, you know, and every day he's over there fixing something or changing or upgrading, or that's just how he is. And so I'm telling you, like, just the last year and a half has been like a continual, how can we make this a little better? How can we make this work better? How can we fix this? Plus, you're looking at a building that it was established in 1890. Obviously, we don't have, all of the building is not the original, but even so, that building is old. And so you're looking at old ACs, old electrical, a lot of those things we've had to definitely update. We put paint on the inside. We've fixed the roof. We've tried to make processes better. We just recently added a little AC unit in our green room because our poor artists were so hot this summer, and there's
It
never...
gets a little hot and humid here in South Texas.
Yeah, and there's never been an AC. Well, that green room was a new addition a couple of, years ago, but then when they added it, they didn't put an AC in there, and that back AC unit hasn't been working well for the whole back of the hall. So they're in there like suffering.
So why didn't I get a green room when I was up there filming? I haven't hit that status yet where I get a green room. That we'll work on that.
So it's definitely a much different. If you haven't been out in several years, you should come check it out just to see the difference. We talked about the bathrooms last time and how they're huge, they're large. There's plenty of space for a large crowd of people. Trying to make it more comfortable for people.
The fat kid in me has to highlight the kitchen side of things.
Yeah.
Don't go full. I go to Schroeder Hall hungry. I know that sounds crazy, but go out there hungry. They have an incredible kitchen out there. I know I didn't bring you on to talk about the kitchen,
No,
but
you're fine.
Tell me a little bit about some of it, because I love that burger you guys have going. Those pizzas were spectacular. Talk to us about the kitchen. While I sit over here and think about it real quick.
You had a good taste of a lot of different things, but pretty much whatever you eat, and I tell people, I'm not just saying this because I'm the owner, but the food is amazing. And I mean, we've got the bacon cheeseburger with the house-made pork belly bacon, which is just one of the best burgers that I've ever eaten. I can be in Las Vegas and be craving our hamburger. And our pizzas are gourmet. They're not just any old pizza. They have special sauces, different ingredients, everything.
Yeah, this wasn't a bunch of frozen stuff from Sam's that you guys are just throwing out and throwing at us. I mean, this is real food, we went out there for dinner and a show and caught Larry Fleet. I mean, we ate, and then we ate some more, and then we ate some more, and then we watched Larry Fleet, and it was the first time my wife and I had been out in years, and it was just a great time, and the staff was great, everybody was great, everybody was very welcoming, we felt super safe the whole time, we were just blown, the sound system was great, it was a really neat place to have in Victoria, and to get to see somebody like Larry Fleet, and you guys have had some spectacular artists here recently, and it's been really neat, but believe it or not, we're actually not even here to talk about all the great artists and the food and all that. We're here to talk about you all's market days that you have coming up. And I know that that's a big event that you guys have out there. There, now I can finally say that. tell us a little bit about that. What makes it special, and when is it, and all the good details on that.
We are having our next Market Day event, which will be Saturday, September 4th. And so this weekend's going to be a big weekend because we have Reckless Kelly, Cody Cannon on Friday night, then the Market Day on Saturday, and then Reckless Kelly on Saturday night. So we got a jam-packed weekend of events, but the Market Day goes from 10 to 5. It is free and open to the public. It is an outdoor event. The inside of the hall will be open for restrooms to order food, the bar.
Get out of the sun for a second.
Yeah, and the heat, because I'm sure it will still be hot.
Oh, always.
First weekend
yes,
of September. But definitely people can go in and sit down and rest. And we'll have we have a varying number of booths. It's anywhere between 40 to 60, and I don't know the exact number off the top of my head right now, but we still actually have people adding booths since yesterday.
Wow.
And so we have, I have a face painter that comes from Rockport. She's amazing.
Can she fix this face?
She
she's
can
that
make
good?
you
Oh, okay.
look really good.
Okay.
She's a lot of fun. The kids love her. The last time she came out, she just had a line the whole time. They were so happy with her. Of course, we'll have, like clothing, apparel, local vendors that have different types of specialty foods. We have Be At the Cattle. They actually source our hamburger, and they're local, and they're going to have a booth out there that day too. So we have a variety of different things for the whole family, and then we have live music going throughout the day. We'll have one show in the morning and then one in the afternoon, and that's free. It's on the outdoor stage. And so it's just fun to come hang out if you want to come for an hour, 2, 3, however much, and just get out of the house for a little bit.
And you said the kitchen will be open?
Yes. The
Outstanding.
kitchen will be open from 11 to 3.
Gotcha, that
so
makes
that we
sense.
have a break in between our evening show, and that way everybody can be prepared when we open again. So,
Got it. Go take a little nap after market days and come
well,
back fresh,
no.
ready to
The
go for the
kitchen
big
has to
event.
tear down, prep for the the evening. They don't even get to have a break. They just have to clean up and get ready. But
Well,
it helps them to have some time.
Yes, ma'am. And once again, I can sure say that, everybody out there, your bartenders, your staff, your door people, everybody was just super cool, and we had a ton of fun. And they were all, when I came back with the wife, they all remembered me. Hey, Caleb, everybody was super nice, and it makes you feel special when you go someplace like that and you get that type of treatment, and then you have good food to back it and everything else. And but this market days, I'd heard about this several times, and people were like, you need to have her on to talk about. We love market days, and it's such a cool event. And do you guys need anything going into this? Do you need more vendors? Do you need more sponsors?
We would love to have more vendors.
Okay.
Because the variety of vendors makes it more fun, especially for someone like me who likes to shop.
Yes, ma'am.
And we want our market to grow to a larger size. And this is something that we actually just started doing in 2020, and then we had to cancel in May because of the weather. And so building our vendor group is something that we're working on. So yeah, if they're interested, they can contact Brooke at schroederhall.com is an email address, so send an email or call 573-7002 and leave a message.
What about the Facebook page? Can they hit you
They
up there?
can message us through Facebook page. We actually have a Schroeder Hall vendor group. It's called the Schroeder Hall vendor group, so they can look for that and ask to join it, because we have the information about times, application, all that on there also.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking about it. Thanks for feeding us when we went out there and giving us a good show. And I think my wife's planning on trying to get out there to market days and have some fun out there. And so thank you for that. And guys, make sure you get out there. Schroeder Hall is a really cool place. It's an historical place. And if you're not much for the nightlife anymore, go check out Market Days. So they got the day and the night covered out there. But make sure you get out and support them. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, and we will catch you at the next one. Thanks so much for tuning in to Victoria Events with Caleb Shaw. Make sure you comment down below, like the post, share the post. It really helps the algorithms. If you haven't done so already, make sure you follow our page. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any episodes. And if you have an event coming on you want featured on Victoria Events, shoot us a message. We'd love to help you get the word out there. Lastly, make sure you support our sponsors. We could not do this show without them, so we're very grateful. Thanks so much, Victoria, and we'll see you at the next one.